Aujourd'hui, je vais parler de a new Netflix show that I actually adored enough to watch more than once. Ooh, yeah. Heyo, Zempuck here. Okay, so I've fallen for the pop culture phenomenon that is, Frieren, right, as it's in the title of this clip. I watched it. Actually, I watched it twice. First, I watched it a bit begrudgingly because I thought it was a show mostly about flashbacks, and frankly, that didn't sound super appealing to me, right? I've generally hated flashbacks in shows or movies because, well, they just take away time from the plot's present, and I always wanted the plot anyway, to move forward, right? But I read good reviews, and so I watched it, and surprise, I loved it. But then I did the almost unthinkable, I watched it again almost immediately with my exchange student that we have in our household, right? It's near the end of my exchange student's time here, and I wanted to share a show that I really enjoyed with her. And Frieren is what I picked, and again, surprisingly, even though I already knew that I enjoy the show immensely, watching it with a teenager has made me appreciate it even more and in a different way. So yeah, today I'm just going to rant a little bit about what I really love about this relatively short-ish show of Frieren. It only has one season. It's called Frieren's A Journey's End, right? Of course, I do also have an ulterior motive here. In reality today, I'm just outlining my arguments, hopefully somewhat more clearly, so that maybe, just maybe one day, I could convince my wifey to watch it with me as well. She's, for some reason, super anti-animation as a show format, and I have been unable to get her over that hump. But who knows, maybe Frieren will be the straw, right? One could hope. Am I right? So if you enjoy some random rants from a dude with clearly no production skills, like, subscribe, share, comment, or whatever. I'll be great regardless, because I just do these for some funsies. Hit that bell icon. Don't know what that is, but I assume most people know better than me, okay? Okay, so first, let's address that initial reservation about heavy usage of flashbacks as a narrative device. I usually object to this because the run times for shows are precious, and I just want the plot to move on, right? And Frieren as a show kind of works around this issue by making it clear right from the beginning, episode 1, that the monumental battle between good and evil has already occurred. Spoilers alert, good guys win, okay? So yeah, not a real surprise there, but with that major conflict in the past, I have less reason to need the quote-unquote plot to move forward. After all, I think any review of this show will tell you Frieren is a rather contemplative show about the bonds between people, right? The named protagonist, Frieren here, is practically immortal, so the bonds that she's trying to flesh out can even be with, well, like people that she's met in the past who are already dead, okay? So every time a flashback happens on this show, I didn't mind nearly as much. Heck, it's almost like seeing an old friend, right? The fact that most of them are dead just is kind of irrelevant. If the memory of a person is still in Frieren's heart, then are they truly gone? Oh, maybe it's just because I'm older now. I also just realized that in real life we actually do flashbacks all the time in the form of, well, general storytelling. I think for most people, we're not great enough storytellers that we can just make up like fictional stories on the spot, so we basically relate to each other using literally flashbacks of our lives when we talk to other people. So maybe Frieren has actually taught me to just generally appreciate flashbacks more as a whole. Wouldn't that be a surprise? Okay, my second point I want to address that could potentially be a weakness that got turned into a strength is that well, this is a series where the main character feels maybe a little overpowered. Now, again, spoiler alert, but the heroine, Frieren, is basically an incredibly long-lived mage who's quite a bit more powerful than the vast majority of the other characters she encounters, be they humans or demons or other creatures, okay? But is she the main character? Now, the existence of her human apprentice Fern beckons here, okay? I think I felt this dichotomy more on my second watch with my exchange student, who coincidentally is around the same age as the apprentice character I just mentioned, okay? You know, also a teenager coming into her own. Now, the main issue with like an overpowered main character is that you feel no sense of danger when it comes to their well-being. So that makes one wonder what kind of obstacle can really, give them any pause, right? Without that tension, the character arc might fall or feel a bit flat. Now, it is true that throughout season 1, at least of this show, I never felt like Frieren herself was ever threatened, okay? But that's not how I feel about her apprentice, Fern, okay? She's just a kid who's mentoring with her teacher for the first time, leaving home for the first time, fighting monsters, and getting to know other people, all for the first time. I thought the show is about some practical, immortal reflections on the good old days. And while it is that, it's not just that, right? The fact that Frieren has this fragile human apprentice who's growing at a more recognizable human pace, well, I think it lets both me and my charge be able to relate to, a character more, I guess, more deeply, right? And for that, I think this show does a better job than, let's say, another show with an OP main character and a growing protagonist, right? Such as like One Punch Man with Genos, right? But that's a rant for a different day. Now, the final thing I want to mention as to why I love this show, especially for a show named A Journey's End, is that this is really a show about the actual journey and not the end. I'm going to put it in another way, okay? By the time I'm near the end of this 28-episode run of Season 1, right, I knew there wasn't enough time for this season to get to that arbitrary goal that our main character set for herself, like a physical end destination, right? But for some reason, that didn't bother me at all, right? For once, unlike a show where the goal is to, like, beat the big bad or become the strongest or whatever generic shonen trope that you throw in here, right? On a show where it's majority self-reflection and not, beating up bad guys like this show could have ended at any narrative moment, right? Like, this is because the show for me is primarily about Frieren's ability to overcome her stunted emotional development with regards to, her companions, right? This point was also more driven home for me after the second watch with my exchange student, right? Because my charge was all like, oh my god, how is the show going to end? Is she going to get to where she wants to go? And my charge, especially, she wanted to see probably the most popular ship within the show's companions group, right? Which is, Fern and the other boy. In a way, I get it. She's a kid, and she wants a story to reach a sort of concrete happy ending conclusion, right? I mean, knowing the tone of the show, I'm sure there will be a happy ending at some point down the line. But unlike my charge, I thought the general meandering pacing of the show, that's how I feel, it was perfect for the type of show it is, right? I wouldn't mind just hanging out with this lovable group of people going from town to town. Instead of fighting, they're just shopping for trinkets or eating or helping little old ladies carry their groceries. I'm not even kidding. These are all actually in this show. I wouldn't mind if that went on and on forever, okay? Because that's the encapsulation of, kind of like the journey of life itself, right? Okay, in conclusion, I was initially surprised by this show because I wasn't sure its admittedly slow pacing would get to me or not. Well, it didn't. I do think it takes about 2 episodes to get a feel for it, the essence of it. I tested out that theory because I basically said, hey, to my exchange student, watch 2 episodes of the show and see if you want to continue. And she ended up loving it, right? The fact that the show has helped us bond really was something extra that I didn't really quite expect. I was kind of afraid initially that a teen wouldn't care about a show that does so much reflecting backwards. After all, when you're a teenager, you just want to go and move forward in life, right? But now, having rewatched it, I realized that the show does both looking backwards and forwards, and that is much more akin to what I think reality is like, right? Sure, I may be oldish, but boy, I hope I never get to a point in my life where all I do is look backwards, right? I mean, so what do you guys think? If you've ever seen it, and do you feel like my assessment is, am I off my rockers, or am I right on the spot? You tell me. Cheers. I love Frieren.